Welcome to Rightszie Your Life, the virtual program produced by the Southern California News Group in conjunction with the Bay Area News Group. I'm Sam Dunn, the senior editor for premium content here at the Southern California News Group. And first, I want to say thank you to our Reader Rewards subscribers for supporting our virtual programs and really for supporting everything we do. We appreciate you. And if you are a Reader Rewards subscriber attending today, you're of course automatically entered to win a $50 gift card for Amazon. Last month's winner was Sandy Wolf. So congratulations, Sandy. We appreciate you supporting the program. And also, real talk, you guys, if you're not a subscriber to any of our papers, why not? Become a stakeholder in local journalism, please, and support everything that's going on in your community. If you're in Southern California, go to scng.com/subscribe to find your local paper. And in the Bay Area, go to bayareanewsgroup.com and join us there as a regular reader. Before we get started, there are a couple things to know. If you have questions, and we really hope you do, please use the Q&A feature on the Zoom toolbar on your screen. Your questions are going to be addressed at the end of Marnie's presentation, so hang on for that. But certainly, meanwhile, during the show, if you want to make comments, use the chat feature found on your Zoom toolbar right down there as well. And don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. The session is videotaped and a link is sent to you, so you can share it or just revisit some of your favorite moments. It's also posted on YouTube and at scng.com/virtual events. And that's where you can find all of our past virtual shows, as well as see what's coming up. Now, it's my extreme pleasure to bring on the host of the show, Marnie Jameson, the reason for the season. Marnie is a syndicated columnist for our news group and read in papers nationwide. She's also a popular speaker and author of several books, including Right Size Today to Create Your Best Life Tomorrow and Downsizing the Family Home. Marnie, welcome. It's always such a pleasure to see your face.
Thank you, Sam. It's so nice to be back. And I know I have a lot of really wonderful viewers out there. And thank you for joining again. And we're in for an interesting topic today. I'll let Sam tell you a little bit more about what's in store before we take off.
Well, yeah, as you know, Marnie, during the past season of these three shows, we've had a lot of questions come in. Not all of them have we been able to address in the time of the show. So we gathered some of them up, organized them in some categories for you. And so we thought you'd just take off from here and answer some reader questions. I'll get off and let you get started.
Well, thank you. So yes, Sam, our producer, has done a great job of organizing some of these questions that have come in from the audience under headings. So if you want to sort of save your questions for the heading, or maybe your questions will be answered, we're going to talk about negotiating and tips on moving and tips on donating and tips on what to do when you inherit stuff you may or may not want, and then taking a positive look at the new year. So, here's a great question, and this is kind of, can cover so many questions, really. This one is, this person has a parent who's a hoarder, and she doesn't want to listen to anybody telling her what to do with her things. And, this person wanted to know if I had any advice for negotiating. Well, first of all, I've been there. I did this with my own mother. It was very difficult. She kept all kinds of things. But broadly, I will start by saying, even for yourself, before you can get the courage up or gin up the motivation to clean house, to purge, or to get somebody else to do that, you need to find the upside. You need to find the motivation and the little fire that will get them going. So for maybe you or me, well, maybe not me, because I've done this, trust me, but maybe you want to park two cars in your two-car garage and you can't even fit in one. Or maybe you want to have friends over, but you're too embarrassed because your place is just overwhelmed. So whatever, that's sort of maybe motivating you to do something. But for your parent, it might be, look, do you want to leave a burden to your family or a blessing? Bestow a blessing would be to clean house and to open up and get rid of and take care of a lot of these things that are just going to become a big albatross. So the other kind of motivating discussion to have with your parent is, if you don't do it, who will? In my books, I talk about, what if you walk up the door and get struck by a bolt of lightning? Boom, game over, right? What if you left behind a mess or a blessing? So if you don't deal with your things, and their things are so precious to you, and they're so precious to you that you want them to go into the loving, capable hands, how is that going to happen if you don't take care of it? So part of the motivation that you can help your parent find is, you don't want to leave a burden. You want to be able to put things in the hands that you want to put them in. You might be motivate them by cash. Selling these things off can turn into really nice liquid cash in addition to space in the home and order in the house. So all of this. So find the upside. And then the other piece I would talk about in terms of helping a parent start getting rid of their things is to pick a number. So I did this with my mom. She had saved, I don't know, all these gift bags for, Christmases and birthdays, and they were filling up half a closet. And also baskets. I don't know, she was very I don't know, baked a lot of muffins and traded a lot of cookies. I'm not sure what that was all about, but there were a lot of baskets in the house. I said, Mom, how many do we need? Pick a number. And also glass flower vases, good heavens. So like she might have said 25. And it wasn't a big house. So pick a number, 5, pick a number, 5. Now pick your 5 favorite baskets. Pick your 10 favorite gift bags. Pick your favorite whatever, so your vases, 5 flower vases. That's going to be enough. And the rest you can go, that can go. So I think pick a number, find the upside and pick a number. That would be my answer to that one. Then we get to the question of what do you do with that family member? You put stuff in donation and they take it back out again. Well, that is a problem in many households. And I'll just say this, I really, really would never throw somebody's belongings away without their permission, unless they're not competent. And I know that's a questionable definition, but if they're mentally with it and they don't want to part with something and it's theirs, don't purge without permission. That would just be my advice for family peace. There are a lot of things I would like my husband to toss, and we still have them. But I do agree with the second part of this question. I think this is a really good idea. If someone hasn't used something in a long time and you think it just is not going to be used, put it in a staging area, put it in the garage. We have an area in our garage that's donations, and set it over there and let your loved one know, I put the waffle iron on the shelf over there because I don't think we're going to need that. We're not doing waffles, right? Try and let them live with it. And if they really can't part with it, it's up to them to take it back. If they can, if they don't take it back, then let it go. So that's what I have to say about that. What's our next set of questions, Julie? Moving, oh gosh, well, some of you who have followed along my rocky road in the last 10 years, I have moved 20 times. Yes, that's 20, including 6 times in 4 years. When I moved from your area, like Southern California, I actually had a stopover in Colorado, but then I moved to Florida, where I have been for 11 years. And when I got to Florida, I was a live-in homestager. I lived in beautiful homes with my things, and I decorated them so they would look pretty to sell. They were challenged properties. And when I did my fixing up, it was supposed to help them sell. And the better I was at that, the faster they sold, which kind of worked against me because then it meant I had to move. But I got very good at packing and moving and purging. And so here's what I have to say about that. One of the questions is, should you sell your house first and store the stuff, or sell the stuff and then sell the house? What's the sequence here? Well, I will say purge before you even put the house on the market. Clean house, a uncluttered house, a house that you have let go of all the stuff you've accumulated over the years that you're not going to need going forward, will show better and sell faster. Here's a secret to home staging. What you want people to walk in to your home that has so much extra space in the closets and so much roominess, and it's so well organized, they're subconsciously going to think, wow, if I lived here, my life would fall into place too. That is a trick to selling a home. You want it to have more room than you need, like have extra space in the closet, have extra space on the shelves, and get rid of anything that you do not think you'll be moving forward to your new home. One of the reasons, in addition to having a place look better and show better, is you're not going to pay to move stuff you don't need, use, or love. It's expensive. And a lot of times, if you're moving locally, you're going to pay by the pound. So if you're moving far, it's pay by the mile. But either way, you're paying for people to pick up your boxes and move them. And a lot of times it's boxes of stuff you don't even need. So it's really expensive. So purge, purge, purge before you even sell. And if you are unsure, I hate to even give you this out, but if you are unsure if you're going to use it in the next home, pull it out of the cupboards and put it in the garage and store it in a nice box. Do not buy a storage unit. Do not pay for storage. That is just an invitation for you to hit the default button and say, oh, I'll just pay another month of storage and just leave it there. Do not do that. So that would be my advice there. Let's see. What's your trick for organizing before the movers come? Okay, so the same thing, you want to be really efficient. You want to put everything that's going, you, not them. I mean, you can pay for packers if you have all the money in the world. I always pack stuff myself. You want to put everything in boxes that is going to go in a box and label kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, but not just kitchen, put kitchen, maybe what it is, dishes, pans, and then a number, like, or an A, B, or C. Like, what is the priority here? Like, if it's placemats, maybe it's a C. You can probably live without placemats. But if it's coffee cups or the coffee maker, maybe that's a number one. So that would be my organizing tip on that. Box everything you possibly can. And when you do box it, indicate what room it goes to, but also how important it is for that room. All right, we're in a new house with an open floor plan. Awesome. It's tricky to decorate. Yes, it is. And tips on furniture placement and storage that you lose when you lose walls. So here's what I have to say about open floor plans. They can backfire. They're really great in California though, because you don't have the heating needs that we have. Not we, I live in Florida, but people have in the Northeast. But if you do have an open floor plan, you still need to have defined spaces. Your whole thing isn't just one big open room. You want to organize a space for, let's say, watching television or having company and visitors, and a space that's an office and a space that's for dining. And you need to make these areas distinct from one another by the way they're furnished. Maybe a sofa becomes a sort of half wall, and you define an area by blocking it off with the back of a sofa or a console table. Area rugs are an excellent way to define a space. So I think that is one way to consider. Like, just imagine creating three or four rooms. Maybe there's a library, a reading nook in the space that you have, and don't try to decorate it as one big room, but decorate it as several discrete areas. That said, if without the storage is, loss of storage is real. So you want to learn to be a little bit more minimalistic, probably, if you're going to live in one of these open floor plans, especially because everything's visible. But that said, make sure every piece of furniture you have is pulling its weight. And if it can double as storage, by all means, get benches that open up and have storage in them. Get ottomans that open up and have storage in them. Get tables that you can slide handsome wicker baskets under, where you're going to put your blankets or your magazines or your TV remotes. All those sorts of little tricks of looking good when the stuff's away, but also easy to access. Hutches are fabulous for these spaces to put puzzles and blankets and books and things in that you might want to have access to. So also use the walls that you do have for built-in shelves and cabinetry. All right, what's next on the hit parade, guys? Okay, donating. This is a huge topic. So one question, I get this a lot. People sometimes know they want to get rid of something, but they don't just want it to go into the dumpster or into some generic furniture pile. They really do want their items or belongings that they love to go to people who will really appreciate them. So one thing, there are experts in almost every area. So if you have, let's say you've got a lot of vintage clothes, or, even army clothes or wedding clothes, those can go to theater departments, community theater costume departments, or even high schools that have theater wardrobes they need. You can find experts in just about anything. I wrote about an expert in old farm equipment, believe it or not, and he sold a tractor for $500,000. So don't even ask me who's paying $500,000 for a tractor that was from 1910, but there are people out there who know how to find the people who want these things. So search out those experts and the collectors, and you can sell rare books and coins on eBay. The internet's your good friend for researching who wants this sort of thing and finding. If you can't find them through eBay, then you can find a collector or an expert who can help you, or even an auction house who can help you do that. The question of what makes something worth donating, and at what point is it simply trash? This is an easy question. Once you have this answer, this is what I use. If it won't lift someone up, don't pass it along. Don't pass down something that doesn't lift someone up. A brand new t-shirt that you've never worn because it's too small or it's too scratchy or whatever, that's fine. But one with a little stain or a hole in it that you're not gonna wear again, pitch it. Don't demote anybody by something old. I think that's your best gauge there. And often, you can, like an old pair of tennis shoes, like who wants an old pair of tennis shoes, right? If you, so I think that you really need to be discerning, and it's something some really are trash. What's the next one? Most of my clothes, oh, what's the best place to donate or sell quality furniture? Well, again, quality. Quality is a tricky term because a lot of people, most people, including me, think their things are worth more than they are. So you want to make sure that what you have really is quality. Just because you paid a lot for it doesn't mean it's going to fetch a lot on the market. The styles have changed a lot, even the things that are well made. But that said, marketplaces are available to you on Craigslist. Heavy, big furniture things on Craigslist are good in Facebook Marketplace because they go to local people who are going to come to you and pay cash. Don't take check, wire, or anything else. Cash money comes to you, picks it up, hauls it away. That is very good for big, heavy items. Consignment stores can also be a great friend of yours if you want to have something that's very high end or nice. I wouldn't say very high end, I would say nice. Ask them, they're going to take 30% or maybe more, but at least they're going to go and it's going to be handled better. Higher end items really can go to an auction house if it's a wonderful old antique in good condition. Maybe Heritage or Sotheby's will want to auction it off. There's also something called what do we call it? A concierge. I have to look it up. You can Google Marnie Jameson concierge furniture sales, but it's somebody, I've done this with a couple things in my house. So there's a person that people will sell furniture for you, and they will take it or leave it at your house, but they will market it for you. They'll measure it, they'll photograph it, they'll post it, and they know different tricks of the trade, and they will find, I sold a tapestry. It wasn't a fancy tapestry, it was a reproduction, but I was tired of it. And she found a French antique dealer who bought it. So, that was something I wouldn't have been able to do by myself. So that's helpful there. Then we get to clothes. Most of my clothes go to Goodwill, but some of them are very high end. Should I try to sell them? That depends. Yes, if you have the time and inclination, it is time consuming. But yes, Poshmark, different consignment stores, there really are some nice places to have your clothes go and be able to sell them. But I would try this. I would say, let's say you're selling a pair of brand new Stuart Weitzman shoes that you've never worn, but were $300. But I would try to buy those shoes online. I would go online and look up those shoes and see who's selling them and for how much, and then see if you can sell them in that same market, because that would be probably a good way to find out where to sell them. But also, regardless of what you're selling, if you're looking online for what people are selling these items for, that's not what you want to look for. What you want to look for is what these items actually sold for. What something is listed for on Craigslist or on eBay is irrelevant. The market price is what it actually sold for, and that should be what governs what your asking price should be. This question kind of cracks me up because we all have this. My husband has a room of old, what I call Jurassic technology, computers, speakers, all the old laptops, God knows what. How do we know whether to donate or recycle? Well, I'm glad you asked, because it's really important, and probably most of you know, but in case you don't, you cannot just dump these components in the trash. You must recycle them, and you must send them to dedicated e-waste facilities. Best Buy is where I take my things to get recycled, because they will erase any personal identifying information, which is important for your protection. And then they recycle by component, whether it's metal or plastic or the circuitry whatever they can use, they will repurpose that. I think Staples does that too, but I'm not positive. Also, you can look up Earth 911 in your zip code, and that'll tell you the local e-waste drop-off center that you can take your things to and make sure that these components get put in the right hands and taken apart and distributed. I know whenever I buy a new cell phone, new mobile phone, there's a place to donate your old phone, and that they tell me can go to, say, women in domestic violence situations who need to have a phone number that nobody can trace. I don't know if that's true or not, but as long as they erase the personal data and take off your photos and your contact information, I think that's a really nice, nice thing to do. But don't dump them in the trash, and you probably don't hang on to them because the technology just changes so fast, and the prices are coming down, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, now on to what's our next inheriting items. Here's a big avalanche coming at us, people. There's a lot of stuff out there. After my parents passed, I ended up with odd sorts of collections: antique firearms, coins, musical instruments, a snow globe collection from around the world. Help! All right. Here we go again. So you want to find a collector of these items, but if you have a true collection, if your parent was a collector, here's what I've learned about collectors. They love the pursuit and they love their own collection. And another collector of that same thing doesn't love another person's whole collection. They may like one or two pieces of it that will round out the collection that they're putting together, which is very unique to them. So no, a lot of collectors get very stubborn and say, well, I'm only going to sell my collection if I can sell the whole collection. Well, that's stupid. You want to sell it one at a time. You'll get more money and you're going to get more buyers and more interest, because most collectors are looking for that one special little piece that you have. They don't want everything else. So keeping that in mind, you might want to find other collectors and find a community of people who are trading in antique firearms or coins or vintage instruments or whatever it is, or go to an auction house, which is experienced at selling collections. And a lot of collectors who are buying products, yes, they'll look on eBay, and you could put these coins and these items on eBay and you can find good buyers. But some buyers trust the auction house a little more because they will vet the item and make sure it's genuine and properly represented. So it takes time. And I think that is what, if we have an older parent and we're still working and maybe we have kids at home, it's very time consuming. But another thing you might consider is having an estate appraiser do a walkthrough and take a look at everything and give you ideas on how to sell it, or maybe they can sell it for you, or at least they can point to what needs further exploration for an appraisal before you give away the Winslow Homer for $5. That's really worth 50,000, right? So take your time, do a little homework, and know that in general, if you can liquidate these items and turn stuff into cash, it's going to make it a lot easier on the whole family. Make sure everyone there's no one in the family that wants this stuff, and then liquidation is your friend, which kind of brings me to the next question. Oh, those porcelain figurines, I hate to break it to those older ladies who have all those Yadros and Hummels and all those things, but they're just not worth anything. So I don't think your parents' passion should become your pariah. That's a takeaway here. Don't feel guilty because your parents love something. That doesn't mean you need to love it too. Better, and this kind of comes up in our next question, better is to sell it and use the money that makes you happy to buy a piece of art that maybe you really love. So that's, but don't sweat. Again, you can check out online. You can prove what I just told you. These are not worth much. You can donate them with a clear conscience. You can try to sell them and use the little dinky bit of money you get to buy yourself a new pot holder, or you can, just move on. But I think one of the biggest lessons in all the times I've talked about this is we all need to get real about value. And what we paid for something is just no indication of what it's worth today. So we really have to be okay with letting things go for 10 cents on the dollar, or sometimes even less, in the interest of clearing house and lightening our load. So let's see, what are some ways to repurpose a loved one's belongings so they are both meaningful and useful? Well, that's a great question. And I do think that is important. I think, let's say you inherit a piano from your mom or your dad, but you don't play the piano and nobody in your family plays the piano. And now we have this piano that's taking up a bunch of room and your house isn't that big. What if you sold the piano and bought a coffee table or a game table where you all sat around and played, crossword puzzle or jigsaw puzzles or card games or something? Repurposing them, selling the item and buying something with that item that you would use. I think that is a really nice way to convey an item that's lovely into something that you'll like more. Maybe it's also a piece of jewelry, sell the jewelry and use the money to buy something that is something you would wear. Or take the stone out and create this little necklace I have right here. One necklace was my parents gave me for one diamond my parents gave me for my college graduation. Another was from my husband, and another one was from my mom's necklace that she wore all the time. And I had it made into this three diamond necklace, and it means a lot to me. Another fun thing to do is look at the item and figure out something, if you could make something clever. There are a whole bunch of crafty people out there, and a couple of them have given me some ideas. One woman took her grandma's china, which she had absolutely zero interest in. It was floral and very colorful, and she smashed it up, which sounds terrible, and made a whole lot of mosaic items, like mosaic trivets out of pottery. She melded them together and connected them with grout and sealed them and made trivets. Also made planters. Cash pots, the things you put things you put a plant in, pots, and very pretty collectibles. And it was a way she could remember her grandmother, but not use her china, which she wasn't the china kind of girl. So that was neat. And another woman, she took her dad had a fabulous collection of silk neckties, and he took all the neckties and had them woven by a professional into a quilt, a beautiful silk woven quilt made out of neckties that she framed and has hanging in her family room. So if you're clever, you can do, people make pillows out of wedding dresses or christening gowns, and there's just a lot of very fun ways instead of keeping them in a box in the attic. All right, speaking of boxes in the attic, I have read many books and articles about decluttering, de-junking, and I do well on sentimental items, but she gets stuck at old letters, photos. Okay, this is when I want you to all become familiar with the term digital organizing. So there are digital organizers out there who are very good at scanning all these things and photos and letters and paper goods and organizing them and putting them on a CD. You can make copies. You can give the copies to family members in case yours get ruined in a flood or fire. You can put one in the safe deposit box and let go of the paper stuff. You really can. All right. What's next? And I think probably I'm going to get the red flag here in a minute. Okay, looking ahead. I like this one other. Oh, I like this one other thing about the inheriting thing. Your space is finite, but somehow stuff is not. Your stuff seems to take on a life of its own. So I have a trunk, a chest, if you will, that I dedicate to some of my parents' things, like some of their war medals and things that meant something to them. But I leave it in a chest, their wedding album. I leave it at that and say, okay, I'm going to remember my parents, but if it doesn't fit in this chest, either something's coming out to make room for this item or I'm not keeping it. But this is all I'm going to allow to remembering my parents or whoever it is, life. It's limit yourself, your space is finite. So pick a chest and stick there. And the last, on a happier note, because nobody wants to talk about getting rid of stuff and people dying that we love and all that. But what I want to think about as we look forward to the new year is really plumbing your soul and asking yourself some really, really kind of soul rocking questions. And that is, are you living where you should be for this stage and age of your life? Well, that's sit for a while. And if you're thinking, should I stay or should I go? Where would I live if I were going to live my best life? What does that place look like? Have I outgrown my home or has it outgrown me? And so really ask yourself, these are the kinds of questions you want to banish because that means painfulness and change and, cost and all that stuff. But heck, the new year is a time to realize that time is moving on and maybe we should be too. So my book, Rightszie Today for Your Best Life Tomorrow, really helps people navigate those tough questions with some actual worksheets. But I guess it brings you to, once you zero in on where you should live, if you could live anywhere, what would be the best place for you physically, emotionally, socially, financially? Then ask, what is standing in the way? Sometimes it's your stuff. Oh, I have too much stuff. Well, we just talked about that. That is not an excuse. You can get rid of it. You can liquidate it. You can get the money. You can free your life up. Don't be held back by your stuff. Maybe it's fear of change. And all I can say about that is it's coming for you anyway. So you might as well just take it head on. And then the last excuse is just laziness and complacency. And I would like you to start the new year with this thought. Don't let laziness be the enemy of living better now. So get with it, sell that stuff, clear out that closet, get organized, live a better life, and make it a great 2025.
Marnie, thank you. As always, I am so inspired. I really am. I don't know if I'm going to clean out the closet or the garage first, but I'm going to do it. Thank you. And anyway, thanks everybody. We don't have any question. I think you've covered the bases for now. But Marnie, I hope
Kind of a lot. It was like a fire hose, guys.
it was so
But
good.
nice.
But I hope we can convince you to come back in 2025, and folks look out for whatever we can convince Marty to do coming up next. But anyway, for right now, that's all the time we have. Again, thank you, Marnie, for this amazing series.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed. I know I certainly have. We hope you've enjoyed Right Size Your Life with Marnie. And meanwhile, until we get her to come back, please look for her columns in our newspapers and check her out online. She's always doing something exciting and informative. Also, speaking of exciting and informative, please join us for our other virtual programs. Tomorrow we have Bookish, which is our series with authors and thinkers and talks about the literary life. And next week we've got Garden Party with our gardening columnist. To sign up for those and to catch up on past episodes with Marnie, go back to scng.com/virtual events. And if you'd like to share your thoughts from today, or if you have additional questions, please email us at events@scng.com, or you can contact Marnie directly at marnie@marniejamison.com. And hey, a final reminder, if you are not a subscriber, but if you want to be, please go to scng.com/subscribe to find your local paper. And again, in the Bay Area, go to bayareanewsgroup.com. Again, thanks everybody for your support, and we look forward to our next time. Thanks so much.